Last week I watched, or the more accurate term would be I listened to the BBS news, and I was very happy to see the Parliament discussing, I think it was called the retirement or the revision of the retirement and pension scheme or bill, or I don't know what it was called. I think it was put forward by the Good Governance Committee, and I was so happy because listening to the alarming data that was shared, and you can always cross-check this, please don't make me the source of this data, but it said something like someone in an executive position, having worked for close to I think 35 years, was getting just about 25k per month as a pension, and someone in a lower income bracket was, after close to 35 years of service, was going to get like 5,000 per month to live off as a pension. And that is very, very scary for someone, especially who has dedicated his or her life to service of the nation. And I thought, thank God that they were discussing it, but sadly the bill or the act or whatever it was called has been deferred, or I think the winter session or maybe next summer session. So that was, for a lack of a better term, a bummer. Hi, my name is Karma, and this being a Wednesday, it's #MyTake, and what I wanted to talk about on a more practical level is E. The letter today is E, and the word or the words are emergency fund. One cannot talk about an emergency fund, I think, without mentioning fire. These days, I think especially those of you who are in Australia, in the US, or even in India must be familiar with this new acronym FIRE, which stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early. I'm not a really big fan of FIRE, except for the fact that the generation who are into it, or people who are into it, have at least got a goal or a destination to head towards with regard to finance. Beyond that, I think retire early, I have my reservations about that. But so having mentioned fire, I will talk about it probably in another My Take video. But today, very quickly, talking about emergency fund. When I reached the alphabet F in season 1 and I spoke about personal finance, there I touched upon fixed cost. And if you have forgotten, if you don't know, then to refresh your memory very quickly, fixed costs are costs and expenses that you have to bear in a month. These are rent, utilities, groceries. Nowadays, even if you have, loan repayment to be made, or subscriptions and all of those things. So a payment that you have to make in a month is called a fixed cost. And the easy thumb rule for what an emergency fund is that you budget or you calculate what your fixed cost is in a month, and then you multiply that. Before the pandemic hit us, the thumb rule was 3 months, but after the pandemic and now with the current war in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and God knows what other, Ukraine war, all of these things. So, and with AI threatening all jobs, I think people and all fin influencers have started to talk about maybe at a very minimum having 6 months of emergency fund, or at least just to feel safe, 12 months of emergency fund. Beyond that, I think it will be difficult for most people to even make an emergency fund. And one caveat that before I sign out, what I wanted to share is that it takes a long time to make an emergency fund, because I know some of you might be right-brained, or I don't know what is that, type A personality and all of that. So if this is the first time you're hearing about emergency fund, and if you start getting into it, then you'll probably stress yourself out by looking at it and not being able to reach the goal quickly. So in my own case as well also, I still don't have a full-fledged 12 months emergency fund. And I wanted to share, just like when I shared about meditation, I shared some tips and things to look out for from my practice of it, and in that very similar sense, I also wanted to share with whoever's going to now start making an emergency fund that it takes a long time to do that, to learn from my mistake, and don't stress yourself out. The fact that you are even aware of an emergency fund and the fact that you have started putting money aside for it is you're already ahead of a lot of people on our shared planet, our shared home called planet Earth. Please do share on the comment below if I have shared anything that you don't agree with, or if you do as well also, then do share what you liked about this post. And if you would like to see a finance podcast, then what would you like to see in it? Hopefully the Good Governance Committee or the parliamentarians that we have elected to office will do us proud with a great resolution when they discuss or table the retirement and pension bill the second time around. So I'll catch you in the next one.